You all. I hope all of you are with me. If you are following the lectures, then you will find that we up to the last lecture we had a discussion about the duct design and particularly the phenomena of airflow through ducts. With the help of Bernoulli's equation, we derive various or we estimated various losses in the uh, duct. Out of these losses, the two important losses that we are going to discuss is first is fluid friction, which we call as the friction losses, delta PF, that we discuss quite detail, and the second loss is the dynamic losses, which is denoted by delta PD. So about friction loss, we all of you know that this friction loss is given by this Darcy-Weisbach equation is used for that. Okay, and then a roughness factor, and by considering the roughness factor for the GI sheet, okay, or GI material, we derive this equation for frictional pressure loss through a duct. And after that, this friction, we had a discussion on this friction chart. This friction chart is about flow rate versus pressure loss. It also gives you the diameter, duct diameter, and duct velocity. Out of these four parameters, any two parameters is known to you, you can find out the rest of the two. Now next is, after this we discuss the equivalent diameter, or because that friction chart, we know the limitation of friction chart is that that chart is only for circular duct. So for but in actual practice we use rectangular ducts. So for that equivalent diameter concept is used, in which we will first find out equivalent diameter, and from that you can find out the two sides of the duct. Okay, so this is the equivalent diameter concept. So from the sides you can find out equivalent diameter or vice versa. Then one numerical we solved, and this numerical shows that uh, for circular duct, power required and duct mass or material required in case of circular and rectangular duct, and we found that the in case of rectangular duct uh, you require more power and more material. So rectangular duct in theoretically it's not a suitable candidate for a duct, but in actual practice your building design requires rectangular duct in most of the cases. So now today we'll discuss about dynamic losses in the ducts. So after calculating the friction losses, the second important losses is the dynamic losses. So calculation or estimation of dynamic losses is very important while designing a duct. So dynamic losses takes place whenever there is a change in either velocity or direction of airflow due to variety of bends fittings in air conditioning systems. Okay, I think everybody is aware of, in case of fluid mechanics you already studied these frictional losses and dynamic losses. The same is applied to duct also. So in the dynamic losses are because of change in velocity or the direction of airflow, and these may be because of bending or fittings. So some of the common fittings used are the enlargement, contractions, elbow, branches, dampers, etc. Have at the beginning of this lecture and also in the previous lectures, I uh, show you one picture which shows a very complicated duct structure. So in that duct structure, you observe that lots of enlargement, contraction, elbow, bend. So whenever you design a duct for any building or any office, then most of the time in somewhere you have to enlarge the duct. You may have to contract the duct. Lots of bendings, T's are there. So this adds to these dynamic losses. So dynamic losses is given by or it is shown by delta PD, and which is K rho V square by 2. Okay, where K is the dynamic loss coefficient and which is normally obtained from experiment that we'll see in coming slides. Now next is we'll see few important fittings that you in that we are going to use in day-to-day life. The first fitting is the turn bends or elbows. Okay, the common type of bends used in air conditioning are the 90-degree turns as shown in figure. So, this figure shows the 90-degree turn bend is used. Okay, and the cross section of the elbow could be a circular or rectangular. And Weisbach proposed that dynamic pressure loss in an elbow is due to sudden expansion and from the vena contracta. Okay, so this region, if you observe this diagram, you will see that this 1 dash to full cross section 2, this 1 dash to 2 is uh, the region. Because of this 1 dash to 2 leads to the uh, losses or dynamic pressure losses. And dynamic pressure drop is the function of aspect ratio, inner and outer radii of the turns as shown here. R1 and R2 is inner and outer radii, and the velocity pressure rho v square by 2. So all these factors leads to dynamic pressure loss because of bending. Clear? And you can find out that this is given by dynamic pressure loss because of bending is given by CB rho v square by 2, where CB is the coefficient of the, you may say it is coefficient for bending, and this coefficient is the function of W by H. Okay, width and height of this section 1 dash to 2, and also R1 and R2 inner and outer radii. Okay, and you can observe that these EDs, okay, this the coil type coils are shown at the corner of the bend, and this is nothing but EDs. Okay, and what these EDs do, that the part of the air in this section is steel. Okay, your air moves like this, but this portion remains same. So these are called as EDs. Now, so this dynamic loss because of bending is given by this equation rho v square by 2 because multiply by CB. So this CB you can obtain from as told earlier, that constant you may find out from experimentation, or it may be supplied by the supplier. So from supplier's catalog also, supplier provides you such a diagram B as shown in figure B, that CB versus R1 by R2. So you can, by substituting the value of R1 and R2 for your bend and W by H for your given uh, fitting, so you can find out CB. Okay, and if you put the CB in this equation, you can find out the dynamic loss. Okay, so this is the first type of bend. Now the interesting thing is how to minimize this loss. So you can minimize the bending loss by employing these turning vanes. These are called as the turning vanes, and the use of this turning vane is that it reduces these EDs. As you observe in this diagram, these EDs are formed, and which actually opposes the airflow because air in this section is still. Okay, so in order to remove these EDs, okay, turning vanes are employed. Okay, you can observe that these turning vanes, you can employ this turning vane in your bend, which may reduce the bending. Now second fitting is branch takeoffs. Okay, branch takeoff is shown in figure. So this is the main duct. This main duct is branch off into two sections B and D. Okay, so this type of arrangement is called as a branch takeoffs. And branch takeoffs are commonly used in air conditioning ducts for splitting the airflow into two branches or into the multiple branches as per the requirement. And the dynamic pressure loss from upstream to downstream. Okay, in this case the upstream is nothing but the main duct and downstream is nothing but this D. So this upstream to downstream means straight, you may say that straight flow of air, but branches take off is given by this equation 0.4 rho Vd square by 2 into 1 minus Vd by Vu square, where Vd and Vu, okay, Vd and Vu are the velocity, respective velocities of the streams, and the dynamic pressure loss from upstream to the branch, this branch P delta PUB means this is given by CUB rho VD square by 2. Okay, the value of again the dynamic loss coefficient CUB is available from the tables and graphs, as I told you that it's supplied by the supplier, and it is a function of angle angle beta shown here, which is the branch takeoff angle, and the ratio of branch to upstream velocity to VBU upon VU. Okay, so from this you can find out CUB, and if you substitute CUB, you can calculate these dynamic losses. So these dynamic losses because of branch takeoff is calculated like this. Next is branch entries. Okay, it is opposite to branch takeoffs, where the various branch entries are submerged into a single duct as shown here. So branch entries are again commonly used in return ducts. Okay, in case of return or mixing of the air, the room from various air from exhaust air from the various room is taken out, and it is again mixed or it is submerged into a single duct, and this duct is then supplied this recirculated air to the air handling unit. So this branch entry is again similar to branch takeoffs. You can calculate the dynamic losses, and for that you have to find out again the coefficient U for UD and coefficient for branch upstream to downstream and from branch to downstream. Now most important, next uh, fitting is sudden enlargement. Okay, this is again quite a common thing. So this sudden enlargement, dynamic pressure loss due to sudden enlargement is this enlargement is as shown in figure. One section one is having smaller diameter section, and it is suddenly enlarged to 2. Clear? And the dynamic loss is given by this formula delta PD ENL enlargement rho V square upon 2 minus 1 minus A1 by A2 raised to square. So it is this factor is added, which is 1 minus A1 by A2. From this equation you can find out the pressure loss, dynamic pressure loss because of sudden enlargement. Now sudden contraction. Okay, so sudden contraction is as shown in the figure, which is opposite to sudden enlargement, and dynamic pressure loss due to sudden contraction can be obtained analytically, and the expression is given. For that, the Borda Carnot-Notation equation is used, and this Borda Carnot-Notation equation is this. Okay, the change is 1, instead of in the case of sudden enlargement it is 1 minus area ratio. Now it is area ratio to area ratio minus 1. Okay, and which is then replaced by 1 upon Cc, where Cc is the coefficient, contraction coefficient. Okay, and this contraction coefficient you can calculate or you can find out from this table as shown in figure. If you know A2 by A1, okay, ratio of these two area, cross sectional area at 1 and 2 gives you the value of Cc, and if you substitute the value of Cc and the velocity, you can calculate the dynamic pressure loss because of sudden contraction. And it is important to note that for the same flow rate and same area ratios, the pressure drop due to sudden enlargement is higher than due to sudden contraction. So it is very important to highlight that sudden enlargement results into higher pressure losses, that we'll see with the help of tube mechanics. Now the last and important point is static regain. Okay, so what is mean by static regain? So whenever there is a sudden enlargement in cross sectional area of the duct, air velocity decreases. Okay, because of sudden enlargement, velocity, we all know that air velocity decreases, and the velocity, so where that air velocity is converted into velocity pressure, which is called as a static pressure. So increase in static pressure due to velocity pressure is known as a static regain. Okay, so static regain is because of um, change in cross sectional area, and which results into decrease in air velocity. Clear? So for an ideal case, like in the first case, there is a gradual increase in area, no sudden change in area. So gradual increase in area is, suppose you can, it is called as ideal enlargement. And for this ideal enlargement, you can find that the velocity pressure head is gradually decreasing, and static pressure head is slightly increasing. Okay, but and which is shown by delta PV equal to PV1 minus PV2, which is equal to static pressure head. But for sudden enlargement, or sudden enlargements are also called as a non-ideal enlargement, due to separation of boundary layer and formation of the eddies, as shown in here. Separation of the boundary layer and eddies, you can observe eddies at the corner. The static uh, pressure is not equal to velocity pressure, and as shown here, the total pressure pt drops. Okay, and static ps increases and pv decreases. Okay, so such type of cases are called as a non-ideal enlargement, where pt1 is equal to pt2 plus this delta p loss. Okay, this is the concept of static regain. So for pressure loss due to enlargement, P delta P loss is expressed in terms of static regain factor R, and which is given by 1 minus, and therefore the total pressure loss is equal to 1 minus R delta PV. Okay, so delta PV is the velocity pressure loss, PV1 minus PV2. Okay, so rearranging the equation, you can write static regain factor R as a delta PS upon delta PV. Delta PS is PS2 minus PS1, and PV1 minus PV2. So for an ideal enlargement, static regain factor is considered as a 1 for ideal enlargement. But for non-ideal enlargement, it is always less than 1. Okay, so always remember that. Now we'll solve one numerical on whatever we discussed till now. So airflow at a rate of 1.2 kg per second. All of you are with me? Please leave a message in the chat box if you have any query, so that I can start this numerical. So airflow at the rate of 1.2 kg per second through a fitting with sudden enlargement. Okay, the area before and after the enlargement is 0.1 meter square and 1 meter square respectively. Find the pressure drop due to sudden enlargement using Borda-Carnot equation. What is the pressure drop if the same amount of air flows through a sudden contraction? Okay, so this is a numerical of sudden enlargement, and at the end they ask to find out the pressure drop if the same quantity of air flows through is the same, but sudden contraction with the area changing from 0.1 to, so change in area, amount of air, everything is same, but instead of air enlargement, if sudden contraction takes place, then then we have to find out the pressure loss. Okay, so first find out the airflow rate in meter cube per second. So it is given as 1.2 kg per second, and by taking the density, considering the value of density at 1.2, so which is flow rate comes to be 1 meter cube per second. So first, for sudden enlargement, using Borda-Carnot equation. So Borda-Carnot equation, delta PD enlargement, as we discussed already, which is rho v1 square by 2 into 1 minus a1 by a2 square. Okay, so first case is of sudden enlargement, and from this equation, and velocity is, you can calculate with the help of flow rate divided by area. Okay, we know that v is equal to, from that equation rho a v, you can calculate the velocity, and area ratio is given. After substituting these values, you will obtain the delta PD for enlarged section is 48.6 Newton per meter square. Now sudden contraction. So for sudden contraction, pressure drop due to sudden contraction using Borda-Carnot equation is delta PD contraction is rho v square by 2, a2 by a1 minus 1 square, so which is replaced with this factor 1 by cc minus 1. So from this table you can obtain the value of cc, as I already told you, if you know the area ratio, so for in our case area ratio is uh, 0.1, so CC is 0.624. So for 0.1 A2 by A1, it is 0.624, and velocity after contraction is 10 meter per second. So after substituting the values, you can estimate the delta PD for sudden contraction, and that comes to be 36.15. So for the same flow rate and same area ratios, okay, you can find out that for sudden enlargement section, the pressure loss is 48.6 Newton per meter square, and for sudden contraction, the pressure loss delta PD, dynamic pressure loss, is 36.15 Newton per meter square. So students, from these two, after comparing the sudden enlargement and sudden contraction for the same flow rate and same area ratio, you can find out that the pressure loss is less in case of sudden contraction, or you can say that for sudden enlargement, okay, pressure loss is more. Okay, the change is approximately 35%. Okay, so for sudden enlargement, 35% the more loss, pressure loss, because of the sudden enlargement. So while designing the duct network, you always try to avoid this sudden enlargement. Okay, but as I told you, because of the practical limitations like the building design and aesthetic requirement, you cannot avoid sudden enlargement, but wherever possible, avoid sudden enlargement and prefer sudden contractions. But that requires the actual the whatever the requirement of that air conditioning, that building design and the air conditioning parameters are important. So with this, I conclude the various losses, suction and pressure losses. And if you have to ask anything related to that, I'm free to explain you, because I have to move to next part. If I will try to cover that in 10 minutes or so. Up to the last lecture, we covered the friction loss and dynamic. In the today's lecture, we covered the dynamic pressure loss, and in the previous lecture, we covered the friction losses. So two friction loss and dynamic pressure losses we have covered. Now we have to move to next section, which is the actual duct design. Okay, with the help of whatever the phenomena of flow through the various geometries that we learn, various pressure losses we learn. Now we are going to actually design the duct network. Okay, if everybody is with me, please leave a message in the chat box so that I can start with the next section. Okay, thanks Rajat and Amrut. Prajakta. Okay, so I will start with the next section. The objectives of our next lecture is we'll see the classification of duct network that we already covered, that low pressure, medium pressure, and high pressure duct system. Then commonly used duct design methods. Then principle of these methods. First method is velocity method. Second is equal friction method. Third is a static regain method. Then performance of duct systems and system balancing and optimization, and introduction to fan and fan loads. Okay, we'll at least try to cover the various methods used in the duct design. So I think students, whenever it comes to duct layout as shown in the figure, duct layout looks like this. Okay, this duct layout is having the ABC, the capital ABC indicates the duct running from supply fan to condition zone. Okay, so this supply fan to condition zone, this ABC, these are called as the duct runnings. A, this B, this C, G, H. So this duct network is the duct running. Okay, and duct runs, and this run with highest pressure drop is called as the index run. Okay, and the, or some most of the time this duct with highest pressure loss is nothing but the duct with the highest length. Okay, so you in this given figure, you may say that this section is the duct with highest network. So this is the index uh, run. Okay, so this duct run is nothing but the ducts with the branches A, B, C, D, G, like this. Clear? And from the load and psychrometry calculations, in case of psychrometry, we already find out or we already learned that how to calculate supply flow rate to each condition space. Suppose uh, you are having your office is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms, and you have to condition these 5 different rooms. Clear? So for that, from AHU, fan means it starts with air handling unit. So this air handling unit means fans supply has to supply air to rooms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so for that, and these 5 offices or 5 rooms are at 5 different locations, so you have to supply or convey this condition air to these 5 different locations with the help of duct. And we have to design this duct network. So what should be the dimensions or diameter of the duct, and material, the etc etc, the selection, everything is comes under this duct layout. Now students, we in duct layout, always remember what is mean by run. So run is A, B, C. This is the duct run. And index run, index run means the duct or run with highest pressure drop is called as the index run. And next is from load and psychrometric chart. You already know the quantity of air required for room 1. The load calculation of this room 1, room 2, room 3 respective rooms gives you the flow rate, actual flow of condition air required to condition the room 1, room 2, and likewise. And from building layout and location of the supply fan, the length of each duct run is also known. So office building, from the layout of your office, you know that the distance between fan to room 1, fan to room 2, fan to room 3, 4, 5. So length of your duct is already known to you. And the purpose of duct design is to find out suitable dimensions of the duct for each run. Okay, so quantity of air is known to you, length of the duct is known to you. These 2 parameters are known to you most of the time. So what you have to do in duct design, or as a duct designer, your role is to find out dimensions. Means if you are using circular duct, diameter of that duct. If you are using rectangular duct, then side A and B of the duct. So this you have to find out in duct layout. As I told you, for duct design or duct layout, these three most commonly used methods are used. First is velocity method, second is the equal friction method, and third is the static regain method. Okay, so I think I will explain in depth these 3 methods. Okay, one by one. So first is velocity method. So first velocity method, various steps involved in this method is: first, select the suitable velocities in the main duct and branch duct. Okay, so in this case you have to select one suitable velocity. And I think in the few a couple of lectures back, I told you what should be the ideal velocity for office, for rooms, that you know, or that is given by various, or you can refer various standards for that. So from that you can select the suitable velocities for the main duct and branch duct, and then find the diameters of main and branch duct from air flow rates. Air flow rates is already known to you. You fix some velocity. Now you are having air flow rate and velocities with you, and from the velocity, and you can obtain the duct dimension with the help of uh, friction chart. Okay, so by referring the friction chart, you can find out the uh, pressure loss per unit length. Okay, or in sometimes you may know the duct dimension already, because you there are certain interior requirements that you have to fix the duct diameter. So that diameter is also sometimes known to you. Duct velocity is known to you. So using friction chart, because we know that friction chart is of a pressure loss per unit length, velocity, diameter. So out of these any 2 things known to you, you can estimate the pressure loss or any other parameter. So from duct layout, dimension and airflow rates, dynamic pressure losses of all the bends and fittings, as discussed in the previous slides. Okay, that how to estimate the dynamic pressure losses. So that dynamic pressure losses you can find out. Then after knowing the dynamic pressure losses and friction losses, you can estimate the FTP. I think you remember what is FTP. FTP is fan total pressure. So after knowing the losses, you are then going to find out the fan total pressure which your fan needs to overcome so that air will supply to respective rooms. So balancing the dampers have to install each in run. That I will tell you in the next lecture what is that damper and how to use that. But with the help of damper, you can control the flow rate of air in respective rooms. Clear? So you can find out that this velocity method is very simple. First, what you require to do is you have to first fix the velocity. Okay, and that is the important thing. So that makes the rest of the things very simple, because once you know the velocity, so with the help of friction chart, you with the help of velocity and airflow rate, you can find out the friction loss. And once you know the friction loss, find out the fan requirement. Okay, so finally what you have to design is fan. Okay, dimension of the duct and then fan size. Okay, so that's why this is advantage of this method is this is the simplest method for designing the duct. But the disadvantage is that in this method you have to select a suitable velocity. Okay, and which requires experience. By experience you can select a suitable velocity, but if not, then there you have to do some trial and error and all that thing. So that is again the disadvantage of this method, because wrong